Ever since I was switched at birth, when I returned to the Wang family, the fake young master's childhood sweetheart lovers started secretly seducing me one after another, after I reluctantly accepted them. A row of bullet comments suddenly appeared before my eyes. They read, "George, don't fall for it. They're seducing you only to ruin your reputation. Once you take the bait, they'll accuse you of sexual harassment, force you to record an apology video, lie to you saying they won't pursue it, then turn around and have you thrown into the station, completely destroying your life." I curled my lips. Since they want to seduce me, shouldn't I cater to their tastes? Silently, I took out a pile of little tools. Just happened that my bipolar agitation was acting up and I had no outlet. Later, while calling me a pervert, they kept throwing themselves at me one after another. Before the college entrance exam, the fake young master went crazy. He cursed furiously. "It's already been 3 months. Have you all gotten addicted to being his dogs or what?" Chapter 1. I was born emotionally indifferent, and I always repay grievances without hesitation. When I was little, if my mom refused to give me food, I would flip the table. When my dad punched and kicked me, I would wait until he got blackout drunk and slap him again and again. Of course, when the beatings got too heavy, I tried calling the police. All it ever got me was an even harsher beating. Just like they always said, "I'm hitting my own kid. It's not like I killed him. Who's going to interfere?" That same night, carrying my injuries, I set the pigsty on fire. A kid playing with fire and burning down his own home. As long as no one died, who would care? I wanted them to understand that this time it was the pigsty. But next time, it might not be. Because if I didn't fight back, my gambling addict mother and alcoholic father would only torture me worse. When I grew older, my mom even tried to sell me overseas as an illegal laborer, under the excuse of taking me on an international trip. Who would have thought that after I found out, I turned around and sold her off to some remote mountain village. After being returned, she still refused to give up, to force me to drop out of school and accept my fate. She caused scenes at my school every day, insulting me, framing me, making sure I couldn't lift my head in class. The next day, I stormed into my dad's workplace and publicly exposed his affair with his mistress. He nearly got fired. Only then did they start to fear me. I had barely finished dealing with them when the wealthy Wang family tracked me down. Turns out I was the real young master who had been lost years ago. Once the paperwork was done, I was brought back to the Wang's estate. The ones welcoming me were merely household servants. I didn't even see my biological parents. Only heard that the fake young master was traveling abroad. As for Father Wang and Mother Wang, they were too busy closing business deals overseas to meet me. Realizing the Wang family didn't welcome me, suddenly a line of bullet comments floated across my vision. "Here it comes. Here it comes, the classic humiliation arc. Leaving him hanging for a few days is just a warm-up. The Wangs haven't even acknowledged him as the real young master. They're terrified of being associated with him." Later, George even gets slandered as an illegitimate child, bullied by the fake young master's group, and ends up missing the college entrance exam. Watching the scrolling bullet comments, that very day, I had the fake young master's biological parents arrested for human trafficking. Chapter 2. Rumors among the wealthy spread fast. Everyone was watching closely. By the time Father Wang and Mother Wang rushed back from abroad, it was already the afternoon of the next day. The situation had long exploded. The moment they stepped out of the car, the media surrounded them. I looked at them with perfectly measured bewilderment, loneliness, and bitterness. No matter how much they favored the fake young master, Makoto, they could not go against the reputation and benefit of an elite family. As expected, to suppress the scandal, Father Wang publicly acknowledged my identity. With that, Makoto became a well-known counterfeit heir. His biological parents, now imprisoned for human trafficking, became a permanent stain on him. Even the Mu family, who had planned to form a marriage alliance with him, was now considering breaking off the engagement. Makoto, who had once been so arrogant he looked down on me completely, now hated me to the bone. He tried every possible method to ruin me, just as I wondered how he would retaliate. Bullet comments rushed across my vision. "Holy, Makoto just launched a dog training game in the group chat targeting the real young master. He said whoever can lure George into getting a hotel room and successfully collect evidence to send him straight to jail will receive 1 million. Another comment read, "Several gold diggers are scrambling to gain Makoto's favor, vowing to turn the male lead into a dog." I laughed. How could I not guess what kind of evidence they wanted? Those girls truly went all in for Makoto. Within a few days, I was surrounded by beautiful women, constantly flirting, seducing, throwing themselves at me with endless tricks, and the colder and more indifferent I acted, the more anxious and determined they became. Repeated rejection finally made them furious. They mocked and belittled me behind my back, yet still acted as if possessed, trying every means to tempt me. Through the bullet comments, I monitored every move in their group chat. Among them, the one who insulted me the most was named Willow. She said, "What a pathetic loser. Why is he pretending to be all high and mighty, not reacting to this? Please, he's clearly just incapable. If not for Makoto, I'd feel dirty even if he touched me. Just wait. Within a month, I'll make him kneel and be my dog." Chapter 3. To get close to me, Willow actually staged a whole beauty in distress saved by a hero and repays with her body scene. When I walked past a small alley, I saw her cornered by a few punks, disheveled, trembling, looking pitiful. She begged me to save her. At such a critical moment, I decisively played along with her act and rescued her. The next second, she threw herself into my arms, looking teary and fragile, even covered in wounds. The first thing she asked was, "Are you okay?" She was smart. She didn't rush the main objective. It wasn't until our second accidental encounter that she shyly said, "Hey, handsome, can we add each other on WeChat?" Her schemes were top-notch, and her patience even better. On the very first day after adding Willow on WeChat, she sent me a seductive photo, and then sneakily recalled the message right after. Her pretentious coquette persona was perfectly crafted. She was the most alluring girl in the group chat, with porcelain white skin, since she delivered herself to me. Of course I wasn't going to ignore the view. Smirking, I replied, "Lift your skirt, let me see your legs." My bold words disrupted her rhythm, and ignited her competitive streak. And once someone develops a sense of competition, they act impulsively, easily getting led around. Just moments ago, Willow was insulting me in the group chat. And the next moment, she provocatively sent me a thigh-high stalking photo to seduce me. She pressed forward. "Do you like it?" I deliberately ignored her. Willow says, "Why aren't you replying?" "Willow, are you busy?" "Willow, can you take me to school tomorrow morning?" Half an hour later, anxiety consumed her. She gritted her teeth and sent another photo, this time of her bare feet. I instantly replied, "Show me your chest." Willow kept holding back, sending a coquettish voice message. "Handsome, I heard there's a really good restaurant near school. Take me there." "Okay." "Willow, why did you disappear again?" I instantly replied again, "Show me your chest." She got restless and tried to negotiate terms with me. I immediately blocked her. Then the friend request verifications popped up one after another. "Willow, you blocked me. It was an accident, right? Just because I didn't send the photo. I admit I sent the sexy pics to get your attention. But I'm really not that kind of girl. I'm very pure. But if you like it, then I'll take the photos for you." I curled my lips in satisfaction. If she wanted to seduce me, she should know how to please me. She had no right to negotiate. After I enjoyed the free show for half a month, Willow finally snapped. She shrieked, "You only want to look at my chest." Chapter 4. The bullet comments were delighted. LMAO. Willow thought she could seduce George and turn him into a dog. But she's the one being played like a dog. She's so easy to bait. Now her competitive streak is exploding and she's taking spicy pics like crazy. Who was the one calling him disgusting a few days ago? The use and toss energy is immaculate. Willow was furious. Her phone wouldn't stop vibrating. She was terrified I'd get bored and someone else would snatch the opportunity. So she kept switching up her poses and sending me new photos. But she was cautious. She never showed her face. I kept praising her while acting like I was completely hooked. Secretly thrilled. She even asked if I wanted videos, obviously trying to trick me into a nude call so she could get incriminating proof. Before she could continue, I tossed out my bait first. I asked, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Thinking she had secured her victory, Willow instantly took a screenshot and bragged in the group chat. Finally got the loser hooked. "I'll call the cops tonight and send him straight to jail." Makoto gloated. "Make sure you keep all the evidence and get a kneeling apology video out of him. Then he won't be able to explain even if he grows 100 mouths." Willow smugly replied, "Don't worry, after tonight, I won't let him touch me again." Our elite academy had many practice rooms owned by various rich families. Before Willow could finish scheming about her plan for tonight, I sent her a message during break, asking her to meet me in an empty classroom. The moment the door closed, her amber eyes shimmered with shyness and nervousness, yet deep inside, there was a faint, contemptuous sneer. She played the role of a pure, innocent girl. Blushing as she prepared to accept my confession, she said, "George, I like you too. I'm willing to be your..." The bullet comments panicked, terrified I'd fall for her act. They looked ready to shout warnings. I cut her off with a smile. "Take off your clothes. Let me see." Chapter 5. Willow stared at me in shock. "What?" I said. "Didn't you just agree to be my girlfriend?" I stepped closer, my fingertip touching her lips and slowly sliding downward. I laughed softly. "You know exactly how you tried to seduce me, don't you?" I looked into her eyes. My gaze appeared obsessed on the surface. But underneath it was ice-cold mockery. The bullet comments erupted. Ah, this plot just fried my brain. This is thrilling. I'm a sucker for plots where everyone's a mess. She came here to seduce George with her beauty. Now she's pretending to be pure, can't handle her own game. She looked wild, yet insisted on pretending to be innocent. Blushing, Willow took off her knitted sweater. Her eyes flickering nervously toward me, she said softly, "If you like me this way, I'm willing." She looked like a fragile little kitten, obediently offering herself to me. If one ignored the faint tremble in her fingers from suppressed anger, I took my time looking her over. Her face, her flushed neck, and then lower. I inspected that face and that body. Seeing whether they satisfied me, my gaze slid over her inch by inch. Brazen and unhurried, a bullet comment complained, "Ugh, male gaze writing is so disgusting." Another immediately snapped back, "Oh please, a woman initiates seduction, and you still try to blame the guy. When you secretly take photos of hot dudes, and drool over abs and pecs. Why don't you call that disgusting? Then, how is it the same? A woman's gaze is appreciation. No man gets hurt by it. And another replied, "Fine, if a woman's gaze isn't harmful, then a man's gaze is the greatest form of praise." Another bullet comment chimed in, "He's just looking, so what? That lazy, evaluating gaze, George looks like a total master, lol." Willow never cared about using her body as bait before. But after being stared at like this for days, she started slipping into the role of the one being played. Under my invasive gaze, Willow frowned in displeasure, but the instant I showed even a hint of disappointment, worry flashed across her eyes. She was terrified I'd be dissatisfied, and return her like a defective product. If that happened, the past few weeks would be nothing but a joke at her expense. Seeing her unease, I lifted my lips in a satisfied smile. I said, "Willow, I actually do like you. I also want my girlfriend to understand me better." I picked up a chain with a little bell attached. Letting it jingle softly between my fingers, my tone turned playful and mocking. "And see, pleasing me is very, very easy." Chapter 6. The cold touch made Willow instinctively flinch away. Shame and anger flashed across her face. But she didn't want all her efforts to go to waste. She could only curse me silently, planning to get that evidence first and then take her revenge. I didn't give her time to fantasize. I grabbed the back of her head and kissed her forcefully. Willow's eyes flew wide open. She didn't even have time to react. This time, she couldn't dodge. Caught completely off guard, she let out a soft gasp she couldn't suppress. In the empty practice room, the sound was painfully suggestive. The bullet comments went wild. "This is getting more and more thrilling. Aya, George, don't go easy on her. Make her beg. Nice sound. Please let us hear more." Willow immediately pressed her lips together, holding back. Losing control frightened her. Her breathing grew messy. Her blush spread all the way to the corners of her eyes. Humiliated, she lowered her head. I kissed her again and praised softly, "Willow, you look beautiful like this. I wish I could record it and show you. Willow, I really like how obedient you are." Just as the words left my mouth, Willow suddenly shoved me away. Her face flushed bright red. Something was clearly wrong, something that made her flee in panic. Chapter 7. The next day, I publicly announced my relationship with Willow. The group chat exploded. Everyone asking what happened, and whether she'd gotten the video of me kneeling to apologize. But Willow stayed as silent as a corpse. The truth? There was a kneeling video, just with the roles reversed. Since that day, Willow didn't dare send seductive photos anymore. I simply gave her the cold shoulder. I was busy dealing with the next one, and didn't have time to manage her emotions. A week later, she finally realized. She wasn't avoiding me on purpose. I had long since tossed her aside. A soft female voice whispered beside my ear, "Your phone keeps ringing. Aren't you going to check it?" Sophia, the second rich girl who successfully approached me, ever since I transferred into this elite academy. The students, sons and daughters of high society, all saw themselves as superior. To them, I was a wild bumpkin, who crawled out of some backward region. A guy who valued grades more than life, yet could never reach their level. So Sophia didn't try to seduce me like the others. Instead, she approached me through academics, asking questions, studying with me, sharing materials, trying to leave an impression as the good student. But the truth was, simply catching me wasn't enough for her vanity. She enjoyed stealing other girls' boyfriends. That was what made her feel powerful. I furrowed my brows, offering her the perfect opening. Sighing, I said, "My girlfriend and I fought again. I'm worried she'll break up with me." She blurted out, "Then why not change your girlfriend?" Sophia wore glasses, her face pure and clean like a model student. But the beauty mark at her eye gave her the dangerous allure of a venomous snake. I looked at her in surprise and shook my head. I'm very loyal. She scoffed lightly. Just kidding. Then her tone shifted. She tilted her head and said with a quiet, tempting voice, but I can help you. I can make your girlfriend unable to leave you. Want to try? She smiled. Her seemingly clear eyes, quietly dripping with poison. Chapter 8. When Willow showed up looking furious. Sophia was teaching me how to play the piano. Hearing movement, I turned my head toward the door. As the saying goes, with male teachers we guide their hands. With female teachers, we use our lips. At that exact moment, Sophia's kiss landed on my cheek. The moment Willow saw Sophia, her face turned instantly dark. She stormed in and shrieked, "What are you two doing?" The bullet comments were ecstatic. Fight, fight. I love hair-pulling drama between girls. These two have hated each other forever. The Kim and Liu families had beef in the previous generation. In business, the Liu family crushed the Kim family everywhere. But in school, Sophia Kim crushed Willow Liu in everything. They'd both love to kill each other. Sophia is a schemer. Seeing Willow succeed, she's obviously using George to provoke her. Even without the bullet comments, the hostility between them was obvious. Willow bit her lip and stepped closer. I wrapped an arm around her and kissed her. Both girls froze. Neither had expected that. The anger on Willow's face hadn't even faded yet, before the kiss left her completely dazed. A moment later, her expression shifted into a flustered panic. Inexperienced, unsure, and guilty. That kiss reminded her of everything I had done to her in the piano room that day. She lowered her gaze, trying to hide her reaction, but the bullet comments exposed her instantly. Don't be fooled by Willow sending spicy photos nonstop. She's actually a little inexperienced virgin, who's never even dated. George kissed and touched her that day, and she dreamt about it all night. She was so embarrassed she avoided him for days. I played the role of the gentle boyfriend, coaxing her softly, "Don't be mad, okay? You kept avoiding me." Sophia said she had a way to help, but she didn't get to tell me what it was before you came. Sophia, who had been watching the scene unfold, narrowed her eyes, her gaze turning amused and dangerous. Bullet comments burst again. LOL, George just threw the scheming girl under the bus. These two are evenly matched, both sly foxes 1,000 years old. Burn incense for poor pretentious coquette Willow. She's about to get psychologically shredded by both of them. Willow shot Sophia a warning glare. Sophia ignored her completely, smiling sweetly at me as she said in a gentle voice, "Next time you two fight, you can come to me again. After all, your girlfriend and I are quite close." Chapter 9. As we left the piano room, Willow frowned and said, "I don't like how close you are to her." Hearing that, I felt a deep exhaustion. What was that saying again? "Oh, right, we're just friends." My expression turned cold. I said, "I tutor her, and she teaches me piano. What's the problem? It's just mutual help between friends. Can you stop making a big deal out of it?" In this game they themselves had started to corner me. I could let Willow in because of her pretty face, and I could let Sophia in because of her obedient and convenient personality. Although annoyed, Willow didn't bring up the issue again. They had already reached a tacit agreement. Each would use her own methods, without interfering with the other, unless they wanted to stop playing this game. Ever since I started my relationship with Willow, I threw myself completely into studying. On campus, the three of us were always seen together, mainly because wherever Sophia was with me, Willow would show up immediately. She was even more persistent than when she first tried to seduce me. Afraid that the prey already in her mouth might be snatched away by another woman, Sophia let out a snort. "Look, your girlfriend again." Resting her head on her hand, Sophia advised me with fake kindness, "Don't you find her annoying? Why don't you change girlfriends? Look at me, I share your goals." She, on the other hand, only distracts you. Girls like her are obstacles. You should get rid of them quickly. Staring at the math problem in front of me, I replied without lifting my head, "I've already said it. I'm a very loyal person." Since her mask had fallen, Sophia stopped pretending. Now she was trying to steal me openly, without hiding it. In fact, to enjoy the show. Every time she came to study with me, she would even reserve a seat in the room for Willow. When Willow saw how close Sophia sat to me, she came over with an unhappy expression. Before sitting down, she would simply drop onto my chest. While challenging Sophia, she whispered sweet words into my ear. "You've been studying too long. You should rest. Studying needs balance." Seeing that I was still focused on the exercise, Willow huffed and said, "I'm jealous." I patted her ear to calm her. "Let me finish this exercise." Willow pressed her lips together impatiently. 20 minutes later, I let out a sigh. Done. I hadn't even put down my pen when Willow had already dragged me out of the classroom. Once we reached a secluded corner, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me. A heated urgency wrapped around us. Her arms circled my neck. Her lips tangled with mine. With a need so intense that even she hadn't realized it. Chapter 10. During this period, I studied desperately, using Sophia as my motivation. With motivation, the pressure naturally multiplied, and Willow became the person I released my stress on. At first, she only wanted to provoke Sophia, but after kissing again and again, she became addicted to the pleasure. Once she got a taste, she wanted more. Her desire to compete with Sophia and her desire to control me gradually blurred. Is it affection? Not necessarily, but after so long, could she even tell the difference herself? The bullet comments said. Kissing again, didn't she say it was all just acting? She's basically addicted at this point. Don't worry about it. Her mouth has a mind of its own. The moment George finishes something, she immediately leans in. We all know who's getting trained here. More bullet comments. Is that scheming girl Sophia hiding in a corner spying again? Of course, her eyes are practically glued to George. And another comment said, with George being so loyal, does she even stand a chance anymore? At the moment, I had no interest in the rapidly scrolling bullet comments. My kissing skills had improved at lightning speed, from bumping teeth in the beginning, to now making her legs go weak and her breath turn unsteady. When the kiss ended, she blushed and hurried to the bathroom to wash her face. I was just about to turn back to the classroom to grab my things when I saw Sophia standing at the door. Her gaze was dark, lips curved in a curious smile. She asked, "You really like kissing her that much? What exactly about her attracts you?" She blinked and said, "Maybe you should try more, to understand what a truly exceptional experience is." Insane. I looked away and brushed past her. Sophia suddenly grabbed my sleeve, the teardrop mole at the corner of her eye entering my line of sight. Behind that gorgeous face, her eyes carried heat as she lured me. "I know you're loyal, so if we kiss in secret, and she doesn't know, it won't count as ruining your relationship." Chapter 11. The bullet comments said, "Willow, get out here. They're about to steal your men." There was another bullet comment. "Sophia, this horny little vixen scent is about to spill out of the screen." Question, what should I do if I like someone else's boyfriend? Answer, that's easy, just throw away your shame. Another bullet comment asked, "Darlings, do you think Sophia, this side chick, is going to succeed?" I didn't agree, but Sophia insisted on being my side chick, so she became my side chick without any status. All the way to the door of the self-study room, Sophia was still excitedly pitching herself. She said, "Don't you want to give it a try?" She rubbed her lips, her eyes dripping with seduction. "I've got a tongue piercing, you know." Noticing where my gaze had dropped, Sophia's lips parted slightly. The tip of her tongue lightly licked her lips as she whispered in a bewitching voice. "Do you want to see it?" she said. I didn't expect the quiet, well-behaved honors student to actually be like this in private. Seeing she had chosen the wrong track, I kindly reminded her, "Don't go down the wrong path. If you just study properly with me, or give me some study materials, I might be more interested in you." Girls like her, rich heiresses, probably have plenty of study materials that never reach outsiders. The bullet comments said, "Ha ha ha. George is really impossible to sway. The scheming girl is out of tricks now." The expression on her face is absolutely priceless. For the seduction route, pretentious coquette Willow alone is enough. This kind is just for fun. George can play her in circles with just a few words and doesn't even need to waste any effort dealing with her. Someone as calculating as Sophia should just obediently be his study buddy. Perfect. Seeing through my intentions, Sophia suddenly began to smile slowly. She said, "You shouldn't be with a brainless girl like Willow. She doesn't deserve you." After all these days, she finally said something that made sense. I briefly gave her a smile. Not long after Willow came back from the bathroom, she couldn't sit still anymore. She couldn't get into studying and just sat there, staring at me, doing nothing. Gradually, a faint blush spread across her face. I had no idea what was going on in her head. Just as I was ignoring Willow's strange state, suddenly, the fingers I had hanging under the desk were gently hooked by someone. Slender fingertips were tracing circles in my palm. I frowned and looked over at Sophia, but instead, I crashed into another gaze staring at me from the shadows, dark and murky, clinging to me like a shadow. Chapter 12. When I lifted my head to look, that person hurriedly shifted their gaze away, turned around, and left, leaving only a blurry silhouette behind. While I was still puzzled, Sophia grabbed my hand and gave it a little shake. She looked at me like a cat that had just gotten away with something sneaky. Willow, who had been guarding Sophia closely these days, didn't notice anything at all. I clenched her hand hard and yanked it back. Sophia nearly cried out from the pain, but in the end she forced a wronged smile onto her face. Hearing the commotion, Willow poked her head over and asked warily, "What happened?" I replied coolly, "A disgusting little pest flew over just now. I've already crushed it." Willow faintly felt something was off, but couldn't figure out what. Bullet comments read, Willow sitting there like a joke, your hands are already being held and you're still asking, what happened? What happened? If you're not using your eyes, donate them. That night, just as I was about to sleep, Sophia's message popped up. It was a selfie she took in the bathroom. The soaked white dress clung tightly to her graceful body, her voluptuous curves half visible beneath the wet fabric. My phone buzzed again, another message. She asked, "Is this how your girlfriend seduces you? Does she understand your tastes better than I do?" The next moment, a photo of various tongue-piercing jewelry popped up. She said, "Which style do you like? I'll bring it tomorrow for you to see. I think you'd like the cat paw tongue piercing. Just thinking about wearing it to see you tomorrow makes me so excited." I coldly blocked her, afraid her seductive fox spirit stench would contaminate me. Isn't she obsessed with stealing other people's boyfriends? Then she can obediently remain the shameful side piece who can't show her face. As for wanting to replace the main girlfriend, that's impossible, not in this lifetime. Chapter 13. As the monthly exam approached, my pressure grew heavier and heavier. I needed to prove my worth to the Wang family. Only when I possessed enough value would I be seen, would I have the chance to fight for more. Studying had always been the thing I was best at, but I couldn't afford to lower my guard. Before the exam, my old problem flared up again. I just wanted to beat someone up to vent a little. Turning around, I saw Willow showing off in the small strategy group chat, bragging about how madly I loved her. It was a secret group created by those girls behind Makoto's back. The others mocked her coldly. Well then, why hasn't anyone seen that video of him kneeling to you yet? Didn't you say you'd train him like a dog and leave him in ruins? Don't tell me, Willow, you're the one being trained by him. Willow replied, "What do you know? Hurting someone emotionally is the cruelest method. I'll wait until the moment he loves me the most. Then I'll reveal the truth and dump him. Ruin him once and for all." Someone responded, "Are you dreaming? He and Sophia were secretly holding hands right in front of you. Looks to me like you're the one who'll get dumped. Instead of waiting to be thrown away, why don't you break up first? Step down from the girlfriend position early and give us some space." At that moment, Sophia, who had never spoken in the group, jumped out and said, "I genuinely like George. I'm not like you scummy girls. Please spread the word." "Thanks." Someone replied, "Disgusting. Where did this traitor come from? Admin, clean her out." Fueled by rage, Willow shot back, "You're all just jealous of me. Jealous that I'm the only official girlfriend he has. You desperate bitches, stay away from George." The group chat exploded with even harsher firepower. Someone said, "I don't even know what George saw in you. You just lucked out because he's loyal. If you've got the guts, break up with him and see if he tries to win you back." Willow threw her phone in fury. I stood beside her, barely holding in my laughter, but I still stepped forward and asked gently, "What's wrong? Feeling upset?" Willow's eyes were slightly red as she grabbed my hand and asked, "Do you really like me?" Smiling, I touched her face and said, "Of course, but if you want me to like you even more, then you have to be obedient." I added, "Tonight, I have a gift for you." Willow's mood instantly brightened. Face flushed, she spent the whole day restless with excitement. That night, she nervously washed up and prepared herself. When she opened the gift box and saw the leather collar and strap inside, Willow froze. Chapter 14. Willow's expression was tangled and complicated. I gently soothed her, saying, "Don't worry, I'm very experienced. After all, I'd trained my skills since childhood by using it on my drunk father, though back then, the tool was just a feather duster. Fortunately, I'd always been a fast learner." Willow was a bit slow to react. She asked, "What?" I slowly approached her. "Don't you want me to like you a little more?" I added, "See, only you understand me the best. Only you know my secrets. Willow, to me, you're the most special one." Willow's face flushed inch by inch. She struggled internally for only a moment before lowering her head and silently agreeing. I kissed her eyelids as a reward. Bullet comments read, "No way, Willow, you believe that so easily. George's sweet talk is lethal." Those lines just flow out of his mouth. Willow's about to be coaxed into a helpless little baby. At this moment, Sophia must be crying jealous tears. Another wave of bullet comments. "How is this lying? Has George ever said these things to anyone else? He's spoiling her too much. Am I the only one wanting George to hurry up and teach her a lesson? I can't wait to see her red-eyed and pitifully begging for mercy." Willow bit her lip, trying to endure. Her face grew redder and redder. She began to panic, losing composure, struggling desperately to hold on. But all her attempts to hide and resist were meaningless in front of me. Bullet comments burst out. "Wait, why is the screen black? The good part is just starting. I'm a premium VIP. What could I possibly not be allowed to see? I literally already took my pants off and this is what I get. Give me another 10,000-word chapter. I'm not short on data." Chapter 15. After it ended, Willow looked as if she had just been pulled out of water. She was drenched in sweat. I shook my head and said, "Dirty. How disgraceful." Willow shrank inward, not daring to look at me. She hadn't fully recovered yet. It took her a long while before she stood up, trembling as she walked to the bathroom to clean herself up. Compared to Willow, I only washed my face before calming down completely. I had just taken out my phone when Sophia's messages came again. Ever since I blocked her last time, she had been messaging me non-stop. Block one number and she replaced it with another. I simply let her do whatever she wanted. When Willow came out of the bathroom and clung to me sweetly, she happened to see the photo Sophia sent. In the picture, Sophia opened her mouth to show off her tongue piercing. This must have been one of the countless designs she had swapped to in the past half-month. Willow's face flushed bright red in an instant. She frowned and asked, "Who is that?" I put away my phone, sounding completely indifferent. "Just spam." Willow nearly exploded. She cursed. "Who is that bitch? Does she not know you have a girlfriend?" Sophia. Right. I knew it had to be her, only she would be this shameless. Thinking of everything Sophia had been doing these days, Willow gnashed her teeth. "Stay away from her from now on. Don't contact her again. If you don't agree, then we're breaking up." Almost the moment the words left her mouth, Willow regretted it, but she still couldn't help testing my reaction. Just like the girls in the chat said, she wanted to see whether I would try to keep her if she mentioned breaking up, using a breakup to threaten me. I looked at Willow, paused for a moment, then said, "All right." Willow's expression twisted. "What did you say?" I looked straight at her, clearly enunciating, "If you want to break up, I agree." Willow practically screamed. She shouted hysterically, "Fine, let's break up." As if I were the one who initiated it. Furious, Willow tore the collar off her neck and hurled it onto the bed before slamming the door and storming out. Bullet comments read, "George still spoils her too much, that's why she's gotten this arrogant. I bet she'll come crawling back within 3 days. Another said, 3 days? I say she'll regret it in 3 hours. 3 seconds is enough, she'll cry the moment she steps out the door and then hover at the doorway waiting for George to chase after her." And the next bullet comment read, "Sophia's inner monologue, thank you, dear enemy, for delivering your boyfriend to me." Chapter 16. Sophia said, "This is for me." She looked at the collar inside the box with genuine surprise. She frowned. "You didn't also give one to Willow, did you?" I shook my head. This is the one she didn't want. Instead of getting angry, Sophia's interest only deepened. She let out a soft hum. "So you finally realized I'm the one who understands you better." I sighed, sounding sorrowful. "She broke up with me." Sophia's eyes lit up instantly. After that day, the news of Willow and me breaking up exploded in the new group chat they created. It was a group made behind Willow's back. Group name, "Did Willow Get Dumped Today?" They were overjoyed in there. Someone said, "LOL. We only teased her a little yesterday and she really went ahead and broke up with him." Another said, "I've been annoyed at her smug face for ages. Serves her right for getting dumped." Someone else added, "She kept bragging in the group about how much of a simp George was for her, showing off nonstop like it was her personal feed. But wasn't she the real overattached one? Now she cries every day, drinking herself sick. Have you seen George care even a little?" I quietly withdrew my gaze. Chapter 17. After hearing about Willow's breakup, the most anxious one was Makoto. He thought he would soon witness my downfall. Instead, Willow ended up being the one I subdued. The monthly exam arrived as scheduled. Only after the exam did I learn that Willow and Sophia had gotten into a fight in the exam hall. I regretted not being there to witness the farce myself, but the bullet comments kindly replayed it for me. The whole incident started because of the collar I had given out. I knew Sophia would feel physically uncomfortable if she went even a single day without stirring trouble, but I didn't expect her to actually wear it and flaunt it right in front of Willow. The moment Willow saw it, she slapped Sophia across the face. Her eyes reddened as she stared at the familiar collar. Her expression shattered. Her voice trembled. "Why is it with you?" Sophia was thrilled to see Willow losing control. She let out a contemptuous laugh and said challengingly, "Of course he gave it to me. Looking at you honestly triggers my stupidity allergy. The moment those girls provoked you, you ran to break up with George. Who do you blame for that?" Willow's next slap landed even harder. She bit her lip and shouted, "It's all because of you, you shameless bitch, seducing him behind my back every day." Sophia's face was knocked to the side, but she turned back with a seductive smile and said, "So what? The gift is mine now. You two were just fooling around anyway. I'm the one who genuinely likes your boyfriend." Willow snapped completely, lunging at her like she'd lost her mind. "Sophia, I'll slap you to death." Sophia narrowed her eyes lazily. "Oh wait, my mistake. I should say my boyfriend now." Willow's face turned pale instantly, but soon, she seemed to think of something. She grabbed Sophia and tore open her top, checking her skin, finding no marks. Willow's expression eased slightly. Willow let out a small laugh. "I knew it. George hasn't even touched me that many times. How could he possibly be into you?" Sophia sneered. "Into you? He only likes your face, that's all." Willow rolled her eyes. "You don't get it. If he likes my face, that's genuine physical attraction. Sophia shot back. Cheap. Willow retorted. Sure, I'm cheap, but you're free and still unwanted. Insult after insult. The two of them started tearing into each other again. Bullet comments exploded. The hair pulling is so satisfying to watch. Who understands my pain? I'm about to laugh myself to death. My mouth has been split up to my temples this whole time. Hilarious. All exactly as George planned. And another added. What kind of training did these two receive to end up like this? Chapter 18. Leaving the exam hall, I received a message from Sophia. She asked, satisfied? I replied, what do you mean? She said, you gave me that thing because you wanted to see her lose her mind, didn't you? Well, fair enough. A scratching cat should be properly disciplined. Then she added, I ended up like this, do you not feel even a little sorry for me? The next second, a photo popped up of her lying in a hospital bed. She said, she hit me so badly I'm still lying here in the hospital. I responded calmly, got it. On the other side, once Makoto learned everything, he scolded Willow harshly. He yelled, what the hell are you and Sophia doing? Everyone is saying you two lost your minds over romance and got played by George like fools. But Willow only pouted, clutching her phone while cursing Sophia 1,000 times. Then she turned around and sent me a long essay begging to get back together. Makoto, seeing she was only glued to that useless phone typing like crazy, snatched it away furiously. Are you even listening to me? When he saw the message Willow was editing, his eyes widened in disbelief. He said, Willow, don't tell me you actually fell for that loser. Just then, a notification sounded. Willow jumped up in panic, snatching the phone back from Makoto's hand. Her peach blossom eyes brightened at first, but the moment she saw it was a mocking message from Sophia, they reddened instantly. She shouted at the still ranting Makoto. Shut up, get out of my way. As a rich young master, Makoto had never been humiliated like this. His temper flared. He gritted his teeth and said, Willow, are you out of your damn mind? We grew up together, and you're choosing an outsider over me. Do you even remember what I told you two to do? Annoyed, Willow looked away and snapped. Fine, all right, I don't want to do it anymore. I admit it, I like him. Okay. Makoto growled through clenched teeth. Willow, don't regret this. Chapter 19. Soon, the monthly exam results were released. Unsurprisingly, I ranked first in the entire grade. The principal mentioned me in front of Mr. Wang, and as expected, it made him value me even more. He even reminded me, after hearing about the situation with Willow and Sophia, that I should maintain good relationships with both of them. After all, in his eyes, whether it was the Kim family or the Liu family, both were beneficial to him. This also proved that my value far exceeded his expectations. This gave Makoto a strong sense of crisis. He began working in the shadows, pulling petty tricks non-stop. The more trouble he stirred up, the more benefits I received. And this was only the first step. Makoto was nothing. I wanted the entire Wang family. The wealth and status that should have been mine, I would take all of it. While I was thinking about my next move, Makoto's arranged fiancée came to find me, Maria. I remembered her well. When Makoto suggested destroying me, she was the first to propose framing me for assault. All because my appearance turned her into a laughingstock. Those wealthy heiresses had always been suppressed by her. So the moment they found a chance, they seized my background being exposed and laughed at her madly. Just like cockroaches hiding in the dark, truly revolting. Maria Mu smiled gently, looking every bit the refined and educated noble lady. She said, I came to talk to you. Maybe the two of us still have another, more worthwhile option. Her tone softened. If you break up with Sophia, I'm willing to form an alliance by marriage with you. In that case, everything that should have belonged to you, your identity, your status, I can help you obtain it. Well, you know, the Mu family is nothing like the Kim family. And to me, Makoto is just a pretender. Perhaps we are the ones who suit each other best. All I did was visit Sophia at the hospital. How did that somehow turn into a rumor that we were together? I was speechless. Bullet comments instantly filled the screen with question marks. My God, how does this girl have two faces? George Gidge, in public, then calls him a pretender behind his back. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't she the one who created the group that blocked Makoto? Not just that, she also created the waiting for Willow to get dumped group. She's been secretly spying on George this whole time. Someone added, she's the one who can't show her face, hiding in the dark scheming every day. The picture of Sophia and George holding hands was purposely posted by her to provoke Willow. Another replied, Willow being hated in the group must have been thanks to her stirring the pot non-stop behind the scenes. She muddied the waters herself, then jumped out pretending to be the good one. Shameless. Hearing all that, I let out a cold laugh. At first she avoided me like the plague, currying favor with Makoto and helping him plot against me. Now that she sensed I might actually be the true puppeteer of this entire game, she wanted to switch sides. Maria, people like her have no bottom line. saying she could help me obtain my rightful status, as if I couldn't stand on my own without her support. Thinking of that ghost-like gaze that had been secretly watching me all along, I looked at her with open mockery in my eyes. Chapter 20. I said, "How did it feel hiding in the corner watching me and Willow kiss? You filthy little thing." The calm tone exploded in Maria's ears. The gentle, elegant smile on her face shattered instantly. Maria struggled to maintain her ridiculous composure. Not realizing her panicked, shallow breaths had already exposed her completely. I smiled and stepped toward her, backing her up piece by piece. I said, "Were you wishing the one kissing me was actually you? When Sophia begged to be my side piece, did her words get your heart racing too? You, who can only hide in the shadows and secretly watch me, are you going insane with jealousy? Do you know how Willow seduced me and became my girlfriend?" I continued, "Since I'm right here now, do you want to beg me to touch you?" Maria's face went deathly pale as she stumbled backward. Layer by layer her disguises were peeled away, revealing her dark, filthy nature underneath. She completely broke down, her expression dazed. She muttered, I don't know what you're talking about," but I had already seen through her long ago. That suffocating gaze glued to me wherever I went had exposed everything. I pinned her into the corner, lifted her chin with my fingers, and let out a cold laugh. "Then why are you so excited?" Maria shut her eyes in despair, her flushed face trembling with fear. I tightened my grip and said, "You came running here today to say all those things. You must be desperate for a reward." Maria's whole body shuddered. A soft, pathetic whimper escaped her nose. Bullet comments burst out. "Help! Is there a single normal person left in this story? I thought she came to threaten George, but she actually came for a reward. No wonder she and Willow were besties. One is a scheming, pretentious coquette. The other's a submissive masochist, not a normal one in sight." The comments kept roasting one after another. I didn't give Maria Mu a single moment to recover. Looking at her pitiful state, I said, "An alliance with the Mu family isn't impossible, but first, Makoto needs to be dealt with cleanly. After all, I don't want anything that's been dirted." Chapter 21. Bullet comments erupted. "All I can say is, anyone who believes George's sweet talk is doomed for life. I'm dying whenever George opens his mouth. Someone's about to suffer. Can't wait to watch these people tear each other apart like dogs." I did say I would form a marriage alliance with the Mu family, but I never said the partner would be Maria. Maria had an older sister, the daughter born to Mu Sr.'s lawful wife. In wealthy families, the open and hidden struggles are everywhere. Power is measured by ability, schemes, and the strength of your marriage alliances. The Wang family had always been a desirable prize. Otherwise, Makoto wouldn't have had so many people rally around him. From the first day I stepped into the Wang household, I had already begun planning for myself. I also understood what this circle was. Marriage alliances were bargaining chips, trading interests for greater interests. So ever since I gained the ability to see bullet comments, I paid close attention to important information hidden there. From them, I learned the Wang parents were a business marriage, with barely any feelings between them. When Mrs. Wang gave birth to me, she nearly died from severe bleeding, making it very difficult for her to have another child. Meanwhile, Mr. Wang had secretly fathered an illegitimate son outside. The age difference between me and that boy wasn't even that big. A lifetime of working beside her husband to build the family business, only for the inheritance to be handed over to someone else in the end. Who could tolerate that? I brought the information I had gathered to Mrs. Wang. She was surprised I sought her out, though she felt she owed me. She still favored Makoto in many matters since he grew up by her side. To make up for that, she had given me large sums of money over the years. So this time, she thought I had come because I needed money again, until she saw the documents I handed her. Her face turned pale instantly. She gripped the photos tightly, her body swaying as if she might collapse. But her refined upbringing kept her from losing control in front of me. Inside were photos of Mr. Wang celebrating together with his illegitimate son and mistress. In some of the scenes, Makoto was even present. Yes, not only had her husband betrayed her, even Makoto, the son she raised like her own, had betrayed her. Now, I was the only one standing on her side. She had no one she could choose except me. We were meant to be allies, not enemies. I sighed and said helplessly, "I stumbled upon this by accident. But Mom, I really didn't want to hide it from you." I didn't need to say more. She had enough power to verify everything herself. In the end, I looked at her and spoke clearly. "Mom, I want to study finance abroad. After that, I want to take over the company, so I can protect you, no matter what I plan to do in the future." I needed a powerful ally, and soon. Makoto would not only lose the Mu family, but also the mother who had always loved him most. Chapter 22. The news that Maria wanted to break off her engagement with Makoto spread like wildfire. That very same day, word got around the circle that her new engagement partner had become me. Maria was the one who proposed the change to her family. Makoto was probably losing his mind right now. The only thing he could do was beg Mrs. Wang, who was close with Madame Mu, to speak on his behalf. But he would soon learn that this road was already blocked. Once he was pushed to a dead end. Would he tear off all pretenses and drag everyone down with him? Thinking of this, the corner of my lips slowly curled up. After disappearing for several days, Willow suddenly stumbled into view. Around her neck hung the gift I had passed on to Sophia. I was startled at first, but the bullet comments quickly told me what had happened between Willow and Sophia while I was busy dealing with Maria. The day I went to the hospital to visit Sophia, Willow heard about it and stormed into Sophia's ward, causing a huge scene. In the end, both families had to intervene and drag the girls home to keep them under control. But that very night, Willow secretly ran to Sophia's apartment and stole the collar back. She even broke her leg doing it. After reading the entire chain of events, I rubbed my temples. She said, "Why aren't you talking to me? I sent you so many messages and you didn't reply to any of them." She must have cried in secret. Her eyes were still red. She continued, "I regret it. Let's not break up, okay?" Like an abandoned kitten, she looked at me nervously. When I said those things, I was angry. "I swear I'll never do that again. You haven't paid attention to me for so long. Look, my marks are gone now. Can you put them back tonight?" I cupped her face gently and said with difficulty, "I can't do that." Her voice trembled because of Sophia. Her eyes filled with tears. "They all say you're with her now, but I know you're not." I shook my head, putting on a helpless, sorrowful expression. "You still don't understand. The Wang family is about to form a marriage alliance with the Mu family. You know my status is low. I don't get to decide these things." Chapter 23. I heard that very night, Willow went to find Maria. Apparently, Willow nearly strangled Maria to death, and if not for someone discovering them in time, both of them might not have survived the fight. They were sent to the hospital together. Willow, already injured, ended up even worse, and before she was discharged, her family dragged her home and locked her up again. The group chat was full of videos of them tearing each other's hair out. I took one glance and immediately looked away. Poor Maria and Willow, Sophia said as she massaged my shoulder sore from doing practice questions. "Played right into your hands and still have no idea." She sighed with her lips, but the upward curve of her eyes held nothing but gloating delight. The wounds on her face still hadn't completely healed, and the cut at the corner of her lips was something she intentionally kept. Beneath that beautiful exterior, accented by the tear mole near her eye, it was easy to feel an urge to ruin her. She said, "So, when do you plan to start playing with me?" Sophia pressed a finger against her reddened lips, and lifted her gaze toward me. She didn't care who my girlfriend was. Didn't care whom I was supposed to marry. She had already accepted her role as the willing, unofficial side piece. I had to admit, Sophia was an excellent study partner, and this time, she finally got the chance to show me the pretty cat paw tongue piercing she'd been wanting me to see. She hooked her finger seductively around mine, guiding it toward her mouth. The tiny cat paw glistened with moisture, trembling lightly. Chapter 24. Wang's mother verified the photos I had handed to her. She immediately froze Makoto's card. Makoto didn't even know what was happening. He had no idea why even his own mother suddenly turned cold toward him. Wang's father was a businessman who valued benefit and reputation above all else. Whoever had more value was the one he cared about. This time, Makoto was abandoned by everyone. When the Mu family proposed replacing me as the marriage partner, Wang's father suddenly remembered he had to make it up to me, his biological son who had been left outside the family. He held a recognition banquet for me and officially introduced me to the public. When the two families happily announced the arranged marriage between Maria and me, the utterly ruined Makoto exposed everything that happened in the group chat. He went insane, wanting to drag everyone down with him. Chat record after chat record appeared on the giant screen. Inside, they fiercely discussed how to frame me, how to set me up, how to record a video of me kneeling and apologizing, how to send me into a holding cell, how to completely destroy my reputation. The shameless and despicable words shocked everyone. Their last layer of pretense was completely torn away, especially Maria, the one who first proposed the idea and started this absurd game. Makoto stood in front of me, smiling with a twisted expression. He said, "Idiot. You think she's a good girl? This kind of vicious scheme comes naturally to her. She's so used to framing people and screaming forced at the drop of a hat it's become a habit. And you still think she could be a good girl? As for the others, you think they actually liked you? They were just using you as a tool, wanting to climb up by relying on the Wang family. Your life or death. To them it's nothing but gossip for tea time. Now do you see their true colors?" I raised my head and looked at Maria across from me, my gaze cold and filled with disgust. "Don't you have anything to say?" Maria didn't even have the courage to look at me. Her face was deathly pale, and she couldn't even stand steadily. Suppressing the cold laugh in my eyes, I left the table in anger. The bullet comments were flooded with discussions. I realized Sophia is the only scheming girl who managed to stay totally clean. She didn't leave any evidence behind. When it comes to manipulative brains, who can beat Sophia? No wonder she could always stay by George's side as his mistress. That's talent. She was also the quickest to assess the situation. She knew none of them could beat George. She didn't even need George to deal with them. She just adjusted herself accordingly. Another bullet comment said, Maria is the ridiculous one here. Other people mocked her by using George, but instead of hating those people, she blamed George, and she even dreamed she could marry George using her family's resources. No wonder she only dared to hide in the dark and spy from the start. The next comment said, as for Willow, too stupid. Aside from being toyed with by George, there's nothing else worth mentioning. Chapter 25. This incident caused a huge uproar. Everyone with status and influence in the circle showed up. Those who only dared to slander and plot against me from the shadows, every single one of them was exposed. None of them wanted to fall out with the Wang family, if they wanted things to look acceptable on the surface. Their parents had no choice but to give me an explanation, especially the Mu family. Apologies and compensation were inevitable. To play the victim well, I stayed behind closed doors for several days, while everyone assumed I was depressed all day because my fiancé had stabbed me in the back. I was actually busy selecting top universities abroad. I already had a plan, so I needed to prepare early. Wang's mother hired teachers to tutor me. Sophia Kim also stood by giving suggestions. The Kim family knew quite a few professors overseas. If needed, they could help build connections for me. I suspected she was just trying to extract information from me, and then cling to me like a persistent ghost. Still, in a foreign country, having a bit of entertainment wasn't bad. After a full day of work, I had just stepped out of the study when the housemaid informed me that Willow was still outside waiting to see me. This was already the third day. Sophia brought me a cup of tea. She said, not going to see her. If this continues, people will start talking. She looked magnanimous, but in truth she was already fed up with Willow and wished I'd ignore her forever. I said, all right then. The magnanimity Sophia had been pretending instantly froze. I continued slowly. You're coming with me. Her brows arched again. The moment the door opened, the joy that lit up Willow's eyes didn't even have time to fully surface. It shattered instantly the moment she saw Sophia behind me. She couldn't understand why, when they had all done wrong. Sophia was the one who received my forgiveness, so she let jealousy consume her. If she wanted to stay by my side, then she could bring her guilt with her, and redeem herself before me. Chapter 26. I looked at the fragile and shattered Willow. I didn't spare her any mercy as I said, are you regretting that you couldn't get me thrown into a cell? Willow frantically shook her head, guilt written all over her face, sadness filling her eyes. She said, I know it was my fault. You can punish me however you want. Please, can you give me a chance? I can make it up to you. I asked, you want my forgiveness, so how exactly do you plan to make up for it? I wanted Willow to feel guilty. She had once treated me as a tool for her to climb upward. Now that it was my turn to use her, I wouldn't hesitate. After meeting Willow, Sophia suddenly whispered, you knew about their plan long before, didn't you? I smiled. When one beautiful girl after another keeps throwing themselves at you in every possible way, any normal person would know something is wrong. I grew up receiving nothing but cold stares. The moment someone was nice to me, I would become fully alert. Not to mention, I had the bullet comments reminding me, when I learned it was a training the dog game. I knew the opportunity had arrived. They thought they were hunting me, but in reality, I was the one choosing them. I chose Willow, chose her to be my official girlfriend, simply because she was beautiful. And foolish enough to believe I would become her simp for the sake of love. Unfortunately for her, keeping a beauty hidden away is not a love story. It's an opportunity to change fate. Since the Liu family still had value to me, I would keep her by my side. And I chose Sophia because she truly guessed what I needed most at the time. And she was smart enough. There were many things she understood without me having to say a word. Sophia thought for a moment, then said with a self-mocking tone, so, I was just helping you trap Willow, keeping her under your control forever. The truth proved it. She really was quite useful. Chapter 27. A few days later, I let Wang's mother release some information to the public. The arranged marriage between the Wang family and the Mu family would continue as planned. However, my marriage partner had been changed, from Maria Mu to her older sister, Lisa Mu, the moment the news spread. Rumors filled the air. The most common guess was that I had chosen Maria's sister purely to take revenge on Maria, that I wanted her to regret it for the rest of her life. I didn't care about any of the speculation from the outside world. As for why I chose Lisa, first, it was because she had just returned to the Mu family and needed time to establish her position there, and I needed that time to completely seize control of the Wang family. Second, A harem could not go a single day without a mistress in charge. After everything was settled, the Mu family, to apologize and also to show sincerity, took out 5% of their shares and gave them to me as a gift. As for Maria, she was only worthy of hiding in the shadows, watching me from afar in secret. Extra Chapter 1. The moment the news of George's arranged marriage with Lisa was announced, the first person to change her expression was Sophia. Surely no one actually wanted to be a mistress for their whole life, right? Sophia had never minded being the mistress because she knew those cheap, insignificant women could never get George's attention. They were merely pieces in the game she and George played together. Only she truly understood what George wanted. Now that she had finally endured long enough to get rid of those two shameless women, she had become the only woman left by George's side. Even though George never gave her an official title, she was still the only one he kept close. And what difference was that from being the legitimate wife? But now, why was another Lisa suddenly appearing? Where did this old woman even come from? Sophia was furious. So jealous she wanted Lisa dead. Extra Chapter 2. When Maria learned that George was going to enter an arranged marriage with her older sister, her whole expression turned so dark it looked like water could drip from her face. But after hearing the rumors that George only chose Lisa to take revenge on her, her heart, which had been drowning in pain, suddenly tasted a hint of sweetness. She deceived herself, thinking George was punishing her. George was punishing himself. He hadn't abandoned her. Maria was so delighted she felt dizzy, desperately wanting to earn George's forgiveness. As long as his gaze could fall on her again, it would be enough. Suddenly, the scene of George kissing Willow resurfaced in her mind. That day, she had hidden in a corner with weak knees, secretly watching, her heart pounding wildly as she etched that image into her mind piece by piece. Maria felt that, in that moment, her ears were filled only with George's breathing. So close it felt like George was holding her in his arms. She covered her mouth and nose uncontrollably, trying to relive that momentary suffocation of being kissed. But the next second, George's sharp peripheral glance swept over. A white flash seemed to explode in her head. And Maria panicked, scrambling to hide herself. She had also heard the rumors about Sophia seducing George. Every time Sophia said something, Maria couldn't help substituting herself into the scenario. She even secretly hoped Sophia would succeed, because if Sophia could, then she still had a chance too. But unfortunately, that possibility did not exist. George was a man of singular focus. So why Willow, that trashy girl? What made her worthy? Maria fell into a frenzy of jealousy and hatred when she went to the Wang residence. Her head was filled with images of Willow flaunting her affection with George. Fortunately, everything had now been exposed. Willow had completely lost her chance. Riding her burst of emotion, Maria rushed to the Wang family's villa. But the moment she saw George's figure, she turned into a frightened bird, wishing she could disappear instantly. She didn't even dare apologize to George face to face. She feared meeting those eyes that carried a cold, mocking smile, eyes that seemed to see through all her pettiness and filth. Just imagining it made her feel as if she were thrown out onto the street, shameful, terrified, panicked, regretful. And when she finally snapped out of it, that trashy girl Willow actually ran to George's side, clinging and pestering him endlessly. Shouldn't Willow be like her, crushed by guilt and hiding far, far away? Everyone knew that in the group chat. The one who insulted George the most viciously was Willow. Maria's venomous heart finally settled a little. As long as she imagined Willow being kicked out disgracefully, she almost burst out laughing. Willow, just kneel at his feet and cry your eyes out. But reality slapped her brutally in the face. George let Willow inside. He let her in. Maria's venomous heart boiled instantly. A few minutes later, Willow followed George into his room. My God. Before she could even spit out another curse toward Willow, whoosh, the curtains were pulled shut. Maria's eyes shot wide open. What were they doing? Why pull the curtains? Why? Why wouldn't Willow just die? Extra Chapter 3. George looked at Willow standing before him, trying to guess her purpose. Ever since the arranged marriage was announced, Sophia had occasionally whispered in his ear, subtly mocking that Lisa was 4 years older than her. An old woman. Unlike Sophia, who was young and sensible. Was Willow here because of that? Oh right, Willow had no right to inquire about such things. A trashy ex-girlfriend with such a vicious mind should stay as quiet as if she were dead. So had she finally decided how she wanted to atone? Willow handed George a box. She looked at him uneasily, nervous and full of expectation. George paused in confusion, then lifted the lid for a glance, seeing the array of little toys inside. He felt amused, curious about how far Willow was willing to go. He let her in. Only then did Willow slightly loosen the breath she had been holding. Watching George's back, she followed him step by step into the room, just thinking about what she was about to do. made her heart pound with nervous tremors. Click, the door closed. Willow's chest shivered lightly under George's waiting gaze. She displayed the chain with the little bell, the very first accessory George had ever given her, with her face flushed red. She met George's surprised eyes. Her voice tightened so much it trembled. Her gaze flickered with unease as she said, "I came to apologize." George simply looked at her indifferently, giving no response. Willow licked her lips, which had gone dry from tension. Almost helpless, she said, I didn't know what else you liked besides what happened last time, so I brought everything. I'm not asking for you to completely forgive me, as long as it vents your anger. I'll do anything," George replied. "Anything?" Willow silently nodded. Extra Chapter 4. After the whole farce finally settled, George and Lisa arranged to meet, although this was their first time meeting face to face. It was not the first time George had communicated with Lisa. Long before Makoto tore everything open, George had already reached an arranged marriage agreement with Lisa through Wang's mother. He had planned everything in secret, waiting only for Makoto to expose the truth so he could follow the tide perfectly. Lisa Mu was the daughter left behind by the Mu family's original wife. Maria's mother was the mistress-turned-legal wife, and naturally treated Lisa like a thorn in her eye. To force her out, she constantly whispered poison into Maria's father's ear, and with Maria's arranged marriage with the Wang family, Lisa's position in the Mu family was threatened even further, so she needed this marriage even more than George did. George seized this point, extended the olive branch first, and took the initiative, forming a public alliance with her. Their meeting place was chosen by George, a small private restaurant with excellent privacy and elegant decor. Just as George and Lisa entered the private room, three women, bound by mutual jealousy and hatred, ran into each other at the door. Sophia's brows were weighed down with irritation as she coldly looked at Maria, who was wrapped tightly like a celebrity afraid of paparazzi. Sophia rolled her eyes and said, "So the little sewer rat finally crawled out." Then her gaze fell on the chain around Willow's neck. She let out a mocking snort and said, "Still wearing my chain? Ah. Tell me, when George sees it, will he think of me or you?" Unable to secure her place at all, Sophia had begun attacking every woman around George indiscriminately. She especially hated Willow's attitude. Yesterday, Willow had even bragged to her about the marks on her body. If she loved it so much, why didn't she just get beaten to death? Willow, however, replied with a proud tone, "Oh, isn't this our little mistress?" "What? George already dumped 2 women. And you still don't even have a title." Being envied is also a kind of talent. Sophia was stabbed right in her sore spot. She bit her lip and said, "Still better than a pet who never knows when she'll be thrown away. Using your looks to serve someone, how long can that last? George will tire of you eventually." For a moment, the two clashed head-on. Maria, meanwhile, couldn't care less about them. She was glued to the crack of the door, desperately trying to peek inside. A miserable employee was pushed over to handle the chaos. A Mu family servant looked at this absurd scene, forced out a professional smile, and politely reminded them, "This is a private room. Outsiders aren't allowed to disturb the guests." Willow pulled out a card. The servant smiled painfully and glanced at the wall. "There are cameras everywhere here." Sophia cast a look at Maria and said, "This is your family's second young lady. Even she's not allowed." The servant looked embarrassed. "Well, how about I ask the young lady inside?" While the stalemate continued, the door suddenly opened. All 3 women froze on the spot, especially Maria, who was still leaning against the door, and found herself looking straight into the eyes of her own older sister. Extra Chapter 5. Lisa frowned at her and asked in confusion, "Maria, what are you doing here?" Maria leaned past her, looking at George inside the room. Her eyes filled with longing. Lisa curled her lips slightly and deliberately blocked Maria's line of sight. She had already heard the rumors circulating in their circle, but reality was even more dramatic than the gossip. It only made her more curious about her arranged marriage partner. Willow avoided eye contact, guilt written all over her face. She didn't dare look at George, afraid he would blame her. Sophia spoke first, stepping forward with an overly familiar smile. "Lisa Jia, I didn't expect to run into you here. What a coincidence. My parents keep telling me to learn from you more. Are you having dinner? Hope we're not disturbing." Lisa smiled politely, but before she could respond, Sophia continued on her own. "Then you wouldn't mind adding 1 more pair of chopsticks, right?" Before the words even finished, she strutted straight into the private room. Willow was once again stunned by Sophia's shamelessness. Lisa, however, smiled warmly, like a gracious legitimate wife who could tolerate anything. She said, "That depends on what my fiancé thinks." The moment the word fiancé came out, the 3 women clenched their teeth simultaneously. 4 women sat together at the same table. The atmosphere instantly turned bizarre. George, sitting in the eye of the storm, was completely unaware. He didn't even spare them an extra glance, as if their meeting truly was just a coincidence. Lisa also pretended to be blind, leaving the three of them hanging, and continued chatting happily with George, watching the two talk so comfortably. The other three women seethed with hatred, glaring at Lisa as if wishing to peel a layer of skin off her. Sophia, desperate, tried every chance to join the conversation, attempting to seize even the smallest opportunity to draw George's attention. But throughout the entire meal, George didn't spare her even a single extra look. In the end, under three resentful stares, George considerately escorted Lisa home. The sense of crisis skyrocketed among the three women. They exchanged glances, silently passing along one unified message: Lisa must go. Extra Chapter 6. No matter how much they stirred up trouble, Lisa didn't spare them a glance. The flowers and weeds outside could make as much noise as they wanted. They still couldn't step through the door, until one day, George received an offer from a top university abroad. Sophia stared at the identical offer in her own hand, and nearly laughed herself awake in the middle of the night. She could finally get rid of all those annoying women around George. Willow was probably still being kept in the dark, on the day of the flight. Sophia gloated as she asked, "Aren't you going to tell Willow?" George shrugged. "Then you pass the message for me." Sophia immediately turned her head and, delighted, sent Willow a WeChat message. "George doesn't want you anymore." It was a pity she couldn't see Willow go insane from the news. After sending the message, she switched off her phone. It wasn't until she boarded the plane that Sophia saw a familiar figure. Her smile froze instantly. Why was Lisa here again, haunting her like an unshakable ghost?